Alright you guys, so every so often I'll get to paint something really cool here in the studio, and today is no exception. Now this thing is absolutely awesome. It's my own sculpted casted design. I sculpted this from scratch out of Sculpey Original, baked it to perfection, and then we also made a mold of this so I can reproduce this in a magnet set. I use a smooth on Mold Star 15 slow mix to make the mold of this. And I'll be releasing that video later on down the road. Now I'm going to go ahead and detail paint this with a multitude of colors here, but mostly we're going to really just kind of keep it nice and simple. We're going to make this one today a kind of a light blue colored eye with a little bit of a glow effect, just a little bit of glow powder inside the actual pupil of the eye. And then we're also going to give the outside edge of the eye just like a dirty, decayed, milky look. Before we kind of come in with a little bit of pink veins and things like that. Now the actual meat around the eye, as it were, like the portion that would be ripped out of the eye socket that may come along with the eye, the tether or whatever you'd like to call that there. It is going to be just a gory red, and we'll do a multitude of layers on that. Now I'm starting off around the outside whites of the eye with a Naples yellow, trying to avoid that harsh titanium white that most people would use on that. And we'll kind of brighten that throughout the overall process. We're also going to go in immediately with a neon blue over the eye, and then we'll start to build up a bunch of layers over all of those ridges of the sculpted texture here. Now we're going to start to introduce a little bit of titanium white into that Naples yellow, just to kind of brighten it up a little bit as I kind of work up those colors a little bit. By using the Naples yellow, we're able to really start to build up that base before we kind of roll into these brighter colors here. This is also a pure titanium white that I'm going over all of these sculpted raised edges with. I really went out of my way to try to sculpt as much detail into the actual pupil as possible. That way I can just get a lot of variation in color by using washes and dry brushing techniques here. Coming in with a little bit of ultramarine blue around the outside edge of the actual pupil of the eye there. Kind of just darkening that out a little bit. I'm also kind of running that into the interior of the eye, and we'll blacken that out again at the later stages there. I do plan to make another one of these here in the very near future, and it will be more of like a paled out white eye, maybe like a zombie paled out eye, instead of more of a vibrant eye like this is. And I'll probably post that as well in a similar format as this, just because it's so very fun to create painting videos like this. They're very fast paced and they're very enjoyable to rewatch over and over again. And it's just very fun to post smaller, shorter length videos here on my YouTube channel, because some of my content just runs extremely long. So it's just kind of fun to create like an under 10-minute video and just enjoy the process here. Now we're going to do a little bit of a wash here. Now I'm going to use a sepia wash. Now this is a Dollar & Rowney acrylic ink, and I kind of water that down a little bit in a silicone bowl there. And I'm going to go ahead and layer this in a little bit at a time, and I'm going to let this settle into all of the grooves around the actual meat of the eye there, as well as the outside edges of the pupil and the interior kind of creases where the eye is settling into that socket there. Now you will notice that I did do this extremely fast. I'm doing this all in one session, so I'm not waiting for this to dry. And by going over it with that wash, it does allow some of that paint around the outside whites of the eye to kind of buckle a little bit and kind of pinch. And it pulls and it kind of pinches that paint, and that's just going to be used later on in the process. It's never an intent to do that, but if it does do that, then it's no problem. It just adds to the overall decay and nastiness of the actual whites of the eye. We're going to come in with a little bit of pink later on in the process and just kind of blend that in a little bit, so that way it's just not so blatantly white straight to red. You know, kind of blend that a little bit, make it look a little bit more realistic there. Building up a lot of reds here, you guys. So I started off with just a pure pink rose, just to get a little bit of a pinkish skin tone. We came in with that wash, which darkened out all of those creases and divots that I sculpted into the actual meat of the eye there. And then what I came in with is alizarin crimson, and then we're going to work up into both crimsons as well as a cadmium red. And that cadmium red is going to be specifically used and saved till the very end layers of the process, just to give it some really bright highlights on the raised edges. And then we want a lot of that dark blood and decay and meat to be kind of recessed into all of the nooks and crannies that I sculpted into the actual tether of the eye there. looking pretty good so far, you guys. As you can see, I did apply just some light layers of some veining there, and we're going to also give it a little bit of a more of a titanium bright highlight, very faded. I kind of rub that out with my finger there to kind of blend that in there, and that's only going to be on one side of the eye. Changing a little bit of the way the interior of the pupil look, we're building up those layers to create a lot of depth there. We're going to also go around the outside edges with a little bit more pink, ever so a little bit, painting that interior hole on the very back. That's where the actual magnet is set in at. And then here's what we got so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and do something I really didn't plan on doing, is I'm going to apply a little bit of a dry brush of glow-in-the-dark blue powder to this, and it's going to give us a little bit of a glow. Now this one is going to go on my refrigerator or here in my studio, so I'm kind of just experimenting with some different things. But if somebody really wanted a true glow in the dark eye, then I could also do that as well. But in this situation, I used a lot of different washes and just base acrylics instead of just going straight into the glows, you know. But it's really cool. I'm going to try to apply a little bit more of that glow-in-the-dark pigment there, or powder. But I'm at the stages now where it's really not something I intended to do, so it's kind of like an afterthought for this project. Maybe I'll make another one in the near future and kind of show just like a true glow-in-the-dark one. But for today, this is how it looks. A little bit of glow, but just mainly just really deep, nice, beautiful blue coloring in the pupil of the eye, and a lot of cadmium red on the exterior there for the last layer of the blood texture there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to up the game. So I've already spray painted this outside on both sides with a nice layer of 2x Rust-Oleum clear coat, and we let that cure up a little bit. And now we're going to come in with a UV resin layer, and we're going to kind of be very detailed here. I'm going to hit it with a heat gun just to pop any recessed bubbles right there on the lens of the pupil, and then we're going to go ahead and just give this a nice layer here. I'm not going to want to let this go too far over the edges of the actual tether of the eye. Instead, I'm going to kind of like move this back and forth and kind of keep the actual UV resin on just the ball of the eye, the actual eyeball itself. And I'm going to go ahead and immediately hit that with the UV resin light here, or the UV light, and then we're going to go ahead and put that in the actual container itself. It's going to fully cure that up over the next 5 to 10 minutes. Now, again, I'll hit it really quick just so I can kind of reduce the overall drips. We did get a little bit of dripping there, but it almost looks like it's a tear coming off of it. Pretty cool overall. What do you think, guys? You can find this on an overall listing on my Etsy shop, or if you want something specific or custom, just let me know. Reach out to me, and your project may end up here on YouTube. I'll catch you on the next awesome magnet, guys. Later.